During this lecture, we are going to talk about unobtrusive JavaScript. During this section of the lecture, we are going to talk about unobtrusive JavaScript, anonymous functions, and this keyword. The JavaScript event code that we have been using and have previously seen is considered obtrusive. This is, the JavaScript event code is embedded in the HTML, but this is considered bad style. Now we will see how to write unobtrusive JavaScript code. Unobtrusive JavaScript code is HTML with minimal or no JavaScript inside of it. Instead, we'll use the DOM to attach all JavaScript events and to execute all JavaScript functions. This allows the separation of a website into three major categories. The content, which is the HTML, what is it? The presentation, which is the CSS, how does it look? And the behavior, which is the JavaScript, how does it respond to user interaction? Here is an example of obtrusive JavaScript. Within the HTML, we have a JavaScript onClick event that goes to a JavaScript function. This is considered bad style, and the HTML is cluttered with JavaScript code. The goal is to remove all JavaScript code from the HTML body. So if we can't tie an event to a control in HTML, how can we do this? Instead of setting the events directly in the HTML controls, we'll use DOM objects to do this directly in our JavaScript code. First of all, we want to get the object that we want the event to be triggered off of. In this case, it's an OK button. So we declare the button var OK button, and we get the element. In this case, we can do document.getElementById. Then we can say OKButton.onClick and assign it to a function that will respond to this event. Notice we are only assigning it to a function. We are not making a function call out of it. Before we can answer the question of where should we put the above code, we need to first explore when the code runs. Your file's JavaScript code runs the moment the browser loads the script tag, whether this is embedded JavaScript or a JavaScript file. Any variables in the JavaScript are declared immediately. Any functions are declared but not called, unless of course your global code explicitly calls them. In this example here, as soon as the head code loads in the script file, myfile.js, that code is immediately executed. Within the code, var_x is declared, and the two functions are declared, and then function f is called. Once this JavaScript code has completed its execution, the HTML document will continue to load, which means the body tag and none of the HTML elements have yet been loaded into the document. In this example, as soon as myfile.js is loaded into the HTML document, it will generate an error. This is because document.getElementById is declared as global code. Because the HTML document is still processing the head portion of the document, it has not yet loaded in the body, and no element by OK will exist. In order to solve this problem, we need to attach our event handlers after the page is done loading. There is a global event that is called window.onload that occurs exactly at that moment. In this example here, we are attaching the function loadEventHandlers to the event window.onload. Once the window has finished loading and the window.onload event has been fired, function loadEventHandlers will be called. Once this function is called, we know that the HTML document has completed loading all of the events, and we can now subscribe to any of the events we want to. Here is a complete unobtrusive event handler example using window.onload. In the JavaScript, we attach page load to the window.onload event. Once the window has completed loading and page load is called, inside of page load, it then subscribes to the events on the page. In this example, we are going to attach an event handler to the OK button, and it is going to call OK click when that event is fired. When the OK button is pressed, the event is fired and then received by OK click. One common error is to make a function call rather than make a function assignment to window.onload or to any other event. If this error is made, the function is called immediately and the event handler is never attached to the event. Another error that is commonly made is to camel case the events. But this is not correct. All events need to be lowercased. One flexible thing about JavaScript is it allows you to declare anonymous functions. You can quickly create a function without giving it a name. It can be stored as a variable or attached as an event handler. In this example here, we are assigning an anonymous function to the window.onload event handler. Once the window.onload event is triggered, the statements in this function are then executed. In our code here, you can see our unobtrusive JavaScript as we are using window.onload. Also, we are assigning window.onload to an anonymous function that is called when the event is triggered. In addition to mixing JavaScript with HTML, we don't want to practice obtrusive styling. Instead, we want to practice unobtrusive styling and not mix styles with our JavaScript. We want to define styles in our cascading style sheet and only assign a class name using JavaScript. Whenever an event is triggered, it is automatically passed in a keyword this. So instead of having to go and retrieve the control that triggered the event, you can simply use this keyword. Let's add an unobtrusive style to our tip page. First of all, let's define the style in our cascading style sheet with a class name of green. In the JavaScript page, as we use this keyword, this refers to the object that triggered the event. In this case, it will be the button.